Time now for Eye on Politics. We look at what is making headlines in the papers as we discuss some of the issues on the political scene. And in studio today, I'm joined by Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is a political analyst, and Naftali Nyamongo, who is a certified professional mediator. Karibuni kwa studio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for gracing our show. Now, we start off with what is making headlines on the Daily Nation. End of an era. It's talking about the end of the 844 system of education. Today is the start of KCPE and KBC. So what are your thoughts on the new and the old? Embracing the new and doing away with the old?
Hey, thank you so much. I want to say good morning to Kenyans, wherever they are. And also I want to take this great opportunity to wish our candidates throughout the country the best of what they can perform. Mm-hmm. I know this has been a preparation of the 8-year program, and also being the end of that era, it is something that we must celebrate as we wish them the best in their end year, exam. And it has been a long journey. There has been a lot of changes in our educational system for many years now, and Kenyans came to adopt a system that they think it will be relevant to the needs of Kenya in the years to come. Mm-hmm. You hear of our children should be prepared. It should be, the education system that is present now is geared towards the needs of the Kenyans, towards also acquiring and tapping the endowed talents among our children. And in that case, I think we are entering into an era that is more practical in nature, that is more talent-oriented in nature. And we want to wish the best of the end of the era that is gone by, and we usher in a new era of what you call KBC. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Naftali.
Yeah.
What's your views on the 844 systems, especially when it comes to how children used to prepare for exams?
Yeah, myself also, I would wish to have this opportunity to wish every candidate, including my nephews Joshua, Caleb, and my niece Keith, and all the students in Kenya and the pupils in Kenya. Now, the most important factor here is that factor of the children. The framers of the Constitution of Kenya envisaged Article 53 about the children. And one of the phenomenal stipulations there is free and compulsory basic education. Now, if we have the history of our basic education,
yes,
it dates from 1963, when the British colonial rule introduced the 7423 system, where we had 7 years in primary, 2 years in upper secondary, and then 3 years in university. Then it ran from 1963 then to 1985. 1985 now is when 844 system was introduced. And the first people who sat for the first KCSE were in 1989. Then from there, in the year 2017, now CBC was introduced. It is very alarming that many Kenyans today do not even understand what is CBC. The credentials alone, CBC, have not been understood by the majority of Kenyans, whether parents or what? The common mwananchi. No. We needed to understand how this system is working.
Yes.
What is the framework, the underlying structure? Yeah, it is very important because free education means this education must be able to act at will, must be free from favoritism, must be free from self-interest, bias, or deception. It must be costless. So when the Constitution says free education, then it means costless education. It means that no parent is supposed to pay any penny because it is free. Yeah. So if we don't understand this basic knowledge about our children and how they should receive the education from the government which we have put in place, then we will get it wrong.
Has there been enough awareness on how or what CBC is? Because there are some people who are yet to understand what CBC stands for.
Yeah. Now, this is the competence-based curriculum. You know, it begins from lower primary.
Yeah.
I mean pre-primary.
Yes.
PP.
Yes.
So we have PP1 and PP2. Then from there, you enter into lower primary, whereby we have grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. Then now you get into the middle school, whereby we have upper primary, grade 4, 5, and 6. Now, after grade 6 is when you introduce what? Kenya Primary School Education Assessment.
KBC.
Yeah, KBC.
Yes.
Now, the last batch of KCP will be done this year. Then now, from now onwards, we will be having KBC. So, from here, you enter into junior secondary for 3 years. And then to senior secondary for 3 years. And then now to tertiary, whereby you get the pupils go into TVET or a university. So these stages are very important. And again, the subjects were referred in the earlier curriculum. Now they are being referred to as learning areas.
Yes.
And then the topics are referred as strands.
Yes.
Then the subtopics are referred as to subtrans.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the new areas which many people do not understand.
Yes. And now at least if you're watching, you know what CBC stands for and the stages that are involved. There's a story concerning the trips by the president. It's carried on page 6 of the Daily Nation, and it's talking about Ruto is defending his trips overseas. What do you think about the president's defense on his foreign trips?
I think the much publicized talk on the trips that His Excellency the President has had of since he took over power.
Yeah.
My friend, I think it is overexpressed. Because, you know, we have known in the past sluggish presidents. But now we have a workaholic president, a hard-working president, a president who doesn't sleep. And in this case, it is comparable to his strength and the vision that he has for this country. You know, these have not been empty travels. He's not been a joyrider in most of these trips. But when you focus, my brother, is that much of the trips that he has been has yielded fruits. Like yesterday when His Excellency was defending his trips, he talked of that the countries where he has traveled to, he's been promised almost 1 million jobs. That will really solve the problem that Kenyans are facing, that the Kenyan youths. We have now almost 2.9 million youth who have actually finished their schools. They have graduated and they have nowhere to go. And I think His Excellency has been very considerate and looking at the magnitude of the problems that our youth are facing. That is why he has no time to sleep. He has no, luxury of time to think about anything that is beyond what he's actually. He said he's an agent. He's the main agent. He said he's an ambassador.
Yes.
and basically what we can say, my brother, is that even when he went to China, he explained further when he was actually defending his trips that as we were thinking on how to explain to our Chinese brothers, they were already aware of what we wanted or what we want as a country. And then he said that even the Chinese government went beyond by explaining to us what they can do to Kenyans. So in this case, my brother, I want to tell you that this country is in for better days ahead of us. Despite the fact that the country is now crying about the high economic pressures like inflations in the country of many, essential items like food. We also, which has been heightened also by the expenses that we spend in fuel. The fuel has been rocketing. It has been persistently rocketing,
yes.
My brother. But one thing I can assure you, and in the same venue yesterday at the ACK church, he explained confidently that I know where we are heading. I know where Kenyans will be in a year or two. That means we shall be better placed than where we are today. And even he expounded on issues to do with agriculture, that we need to double up, that even the fertilizers that this country was provided yielded a much a yield that was not even expected. And that he was asking Kenyan farmers that you should double this time because we want to make this country a stable food producing country. And that is basically where His Excellency actually is heading. So I think our problems, Kenyans, according to His Excellency, his own remarks, that he has made so many trips, but it has been trips to make this country rich. It has been trips to make this country more reliable and dependent on its production of food, and even securing employment opportunities for the thousands of our youth.
But then again, someone would argue, when will these benefits of these foreign trips be felt?
My brother, let me just tell you. You know where Kenyans were when this government took over? We were at the lowest ebb of, economically. You find that even as the country was preparing for the last year's election, we were already having a daunting, a task of paying the debts. We were paying 65% of our total revenue in any financial year. In the explanation that we had from the Controller of Budget recently is that Kenyans are now paying 83% of the total revenue received. It is a daunting task, my brother. And then number two, we had also problems like Corona, COVID-19 pandemic. That really made most of the businesses close down. And of course, when the businesses are closed down, even the income generating venues or avenues actually went down. And of course, the country was also ravaged by what followed up, the long spell of drought that killed thousands of animals or millions of animals in this country. So in this case, these things will be felt in 1 year or two. And in fact, that is what was rightly said by His Excellency, Mutavadi, who said that, yes, the country should prepare for a more tougher situation ahead, which he actually spelled that it could be 2 years. So in this case, to me, I'm reading that in 1.5 years' time after the election, Kenyans will begin to reap. Kenyans begin to feel the changes that this government is actually coming up with.
Bwana Naftali,
yes.
The president said yesterday that we spend more than 500 billion importing foods. Where do we go wrong to the extent that we are spending that much to import foodstuffs to our country?
Yeah. So before that, I would like to reiterate what my friend has just stipulated.
Yes.
In regard to the functions of the president yearly has an obligation or a mandate to give a report to the National Assembly on the progress made on the international obligations of the Republic. And one of these international obligations of the Republic is that sustainable development. We have international trade, we have foreign affairs, we have foreign policy. The president has been bestowed powers and authority by the people of Kenya to go outside through diplomacy. Diplomacy is the management of information through communication. And this is done by the heads of state and the governments. So when you see the president going out, he's not going there to joyride. He's going there to perform what we Kenyans cannot do. So we have him as a representative to go outside there and do diplomacy. Humanitarian diplomacy, ask for funds from outside, from the United States. Remember, sustainable development is one of our national values and the principles of governance. And this sustainable development has been liaised to be in conformity or to be conventional with the sustainable development goals by the United Nations General Assembly, and whose mission statement is, and I quote, a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. I unquote. So the president is in order to go outside and speak on behalf of Kenyans. Now, in regard to what you have said, when you have funds...
Before you go to that point, but at what cost are these trips? Because Kenyans are arguing, they are one too many. At what cost?
My friend, you see the problems with our fellow Kenyans. I'm a Kenyan.
Yes.
The problem with us is that when we see the president going outside, we overthink that he has spent too much. You see, in fact, the money which we spend in the country is even more in value than the money which is spent outside there. So when you see the president moving out of the country, he is not moving on his own volition. He is moving on the contemplations which have been envisaged in the Constitution. It's part of the Constitution which allows him to move out. So the president was not elected to only act upon within Kenya. He has to go outside and seek funds and seek diplomacy and seek information and other relevant actions for the people of Kenya. Now, in the issue of the cost, then the Auditor General has the power then to give us those ledger, on the spending. But you and I are not able to give the correct information on the money spent. So we cannot speculate. Yes. We can't.
On the issue of the 500 billion shillings that we spend on foodstuff, where do we go wrong every time?
Yeah, do you know that when Obama came,
yes,
and he had an address at KU,
yes,
he said the problems with the Kenyans is that you eat a lot. Honestly, yeah, play it. Obama said, you see, he was welcomed and then he found so much food, fish, everything. Yes. Then he said, what is this? Why this for? What this for? This is a lot of food. And I remember him saying that he eats only once a day. So why do we eat too much? Yes, of course, the food is for the stomach and the stomach is for food. But remember, God will destroy both.
But eating is a basic need.
I'm telling you, it is a basic need, but we overdo it as Kenyans. We spend a lot of them, energy and money eating mandazi. Lazima tupunguze mandazi. unless we reduce.
I think, my friend, as far as the food expenditure is concerned,
yes,
the president has actually explained that there are areas that we have not exploited as a country. He even gave an example of the land that is occupied by the prisons or the government land that is lying redundant, that can be used to produce. What the president was just expressing is that we have so much land that if we utilize, there will be no need of this country spending the loads of money as to the worth of 500 million. So, what he was basically saying, that he was, I'm not so much against the eating habit of Kenyans. Whether they eat a lot or they eat less, one thing I believe is that Kenyans can produce for themselves what is enough for themselves. What the government has done as at now, the government is providing an enabling environment by also even going ahead and providing Kenyans what they need most, even in their production. Like now, the president was asking the Kenyans that we need to double up our fertilizers. And now the fertilizers has been reduced to 2,500. Now we can double it. Because you can remember, my brother, last time, when the president took over, the first step was to reduce the price of fertilizers from 7,000 to 3,500. And then recently, again, the reduction has come to 2,500. So what the president is just expressing, can we people utilize the opportunity that we have and the possibilities of having fertilizers, which is actually enough even to double our production. Yes. That is the basis of his argument. And he said that after next year, this country will never again spend such a whooping amount of money just to purchase food which they can, produce locally.
Yes. All right. There's another story on the Daily Nation, tragic boat ride claims lives of 5 candidates, hours to the national test. That story is carried on page 3. You can read it in detail. There's another story on the Daily Nation, and it's talking about the ouster of Kawira Mwangaza. There has been a lot that is that has been happening in Meru County. The ouster, Kawira ouster exposes independence woes. Does this impeachment of Kawira Mwangaza expose loopholes in as far as independent candidates are concerned? Who do they run to?
I don't think it was circular based on party alienation. You know, there were a lot of complaints that the Meru people spoke a lot when they had the first impeachment against the governor.
Yes.
And somehow the governor has not been insensitive.
Yes.
I mean, she has been insensitive to the plights of the people of Meru. And even when some quarters try to maybe cover the governor by just explaining why, reasoning why it should not have happened like that. But when you follow the history, the genesis of all these problems, I think the governor herself has not been very sensitive. She has not been sensitive to the plights of the Meru people. And she has failed to bring the Meru people together. To cluster. Even though there were behind information that Merus are yet to appreciate the women leadership. I don't know how far that one is. But one thing you can look at is that there has been a lot of delinking between the county government and the people on the ground. And going forward, my brother, you know, again, there is a loose law or constitution as to the relationship between the governor and the deputy governor. I think a situation whereby it is, the governor, the deputy governor is guaranteed to take over after hosting the governor is a loose end in our constitution that must be addressed. Because somebody who never won would always be fighting that in the event that this governor, goes, I will be the automatic heir to the position. I think Kenyans must look at that and then must address so that we can get the functioning of the deputy governor being enshrined in our constitution, so that we don't have a lot of things that the deputy governor actually operate at the mercy of the governor. I think it is something that must be addressed, and it is something that if it is not addressed, it will always be coming up. It is an ugly phase of the constitution.
They are actually tied at the hip because they run together for the seat.
But the understanding that has been there, my brother, is that even the governors are least aware. I saw yesterday when the governor of Wasingishu was inviting those who were to talk. He literally invited everybody, forgetting his own governor. And then all of a sudden somebody reminded him that you have a deputy governor. And we have had so many biggerings, my brother. We have had a case in Kericho whereby the governor has been usurping all the powers, against his own deputy governor. And there is nothing you can do to him because it is the constitution that has failed to elaborate what is the function of the deputy governor. So in this case, I think that problem will still remain until it is addressed constitutionally.
Bwana Nyamongo, some women in Meru have reiterated the call to impeach. They have even called on the Senate to uphold the impeachment. And they are saying it's not about women leadership, it's about her inability to sit down with other leaders to listen and listen to them. What do you think of that?
Yeah. So when women speak like that, they speak on a platform that they are Kenyans and they can participate on the national issues. But you see now, we have structures, we have institutions. You cannot claim Nyamongo or Governor Kawira is this and this. The only institution which can bring the matters into the limelight and establish the validity of this opinion is the court. And we have fair hearing. So if anybody, maybe a male or a female Kenyan, has an issue with the Governor Kawira, then they should institute court proceedings. And then claim that their rights or fundamental freedoms have been infringed or violated by the governor. But they cannot insinuate, they cannot allude. But because of freedom of opinion and thought and belief, they are free to say anything. But now, let me ask you, what is democracy? Because our constitution envisages democracy. Is that doctrine that the numerical majority of an organized group can make decisions binding for the whole group? That is what we have. So when we contemplated about devolved governments, then we gave the powers of self-governance to the people and enhanced what? We enhanced the powers of the people in the perspective of the powers of the state in making decisions affecting them. So the people of Meru, as a devolved government, have those rights and the freedoms to express. So it is in order. It is a democracy. There is nothing wrong in expressing ABCD. The people should come and then argue, have a dialogue about their devolved government, which is Meru. So if they decided to impeach, let them impeach. So we have the process of impeaching up to the Senate. So if the Senate again confirms, well and good. It is about the structures. It is the institutions which we, the people of Kenya, have spelled out in our constitution. Our constitution is the fundamental principles or established precedents according to which we as a people have acknowledged ourselves to be governed. So we have to respect this.
All right. We look at what is happening on the Star. Inside efforts to reconcile Uhuru and Gachagua, the DP has been traversing different parts of Mount Kenya region calling for unity. That page is continued on page 4 and page 5 of the Star newspaper. What do you think of the Deputy President's effort to reconcile with Uhuru and unite Mount Kenya?
I think, my brother, when you look at the politics of Mount Kenya, there were a lot of, I can say, during the last campaign, there were a lot of major casualties. You know, the former head of state, being the kingpin of Mount Kenya, seemed to have been removed when he least expected. And after the winning, of course, for any wise leadership of Gachagwa's caliber, he must have thought it very wise that after the election, we must forget everything. The difference that we had during the past election should be behind us, so that we can bring together Kenyans. We speak the same mind. And of course, what the Deputy President has been saying is that we can only achieve the real economic development if we can bring our people on board. Them who are not with us in the last election, we can bring them on board to easen the movement towards actually achieving the best in our economic. You know, he has been very focused. And I want to tell you, it's not about actually reconciling. It is about making those people who are thinking that this government will not win under His Excellency the President, Ruto, and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And let me tell you, he said, I have listened to the behind-the-scene proposal from the people of Mount Kenya, that it is a high time that we bring on board those who are not with us in the last election. And I think that has also been the directives of His Excellency the President. And you see, my brother, is that when this government was formed, most of the people who were perceived to have been very die-hard critics of His Excellency the President, most of them have been brought to the limelight of the government. Talk of Kutuny, talk of Sally Koskei, talk of Isaac Ruto, talk of so many others from other parts of the country who has been brought into the government. So it is a mission that has been properly planned, that come the 2027 election, all these people shall be on board. And let me tell you, my brother, His Excellency the former President, Uhuru Kenyatta, he still holds the clout in Mount Kenya. And you cannot expect that we can develop Mount Kenya without the former President. So I think it is in a high spirit that His Excellency the President, Rigathi Gachagua, he has to go out. The past must be out of their arrangement to develop this country as one nation. so that they can have a nation united together for a single purpose of development and bring on board. And you see, my brother, you talk about Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
Yes.
At the moment, you are no longer hearing about a lot of bickering in the country, mambo ya demonstration. These are things that are behind ourselves. As he still makes calls that, yes, the economic pressure that is caused by or orchestrated by inflation of most of the goods like the fuel, he still talks about that. But when you look at inside him, he has toned down, which of course, those of us who would wish to have a vibrant opposition, we would not expect Raila to keep quiet so much.
Yes.
We also need him so that he can give the government in place checks and balance.
Yes.
But as far as the toning down is concerned, my brother, is that he seems to have talked with the president behind the scene. That, my brother, let us really discuss and agree on some of the very basic issues. Because this country must forge ahead. This country must develop. We must remain united so that we can be able to solve the problems that are bedeviling the Kenyans. Talk of the economic pressure that we are facing now. Talk about unemployment. Talk about so many other things which cannot be done without a united front to have Kenyans talking the same language. And Rigathi Gachagua is on the right track.
We'll come back to that point. We are waiting for a presser from the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Mudavadi, on the KCPE and KIPSEA 2023. He will be live from St. George's Primary School. We'll keep you updated on that as it happens. Please continue with your point.
Yeah, I was just explaining, my brother, that Rigathi Gachagua is a man on a huge mission. You know, even though this thing has not been spoken openly, I think the 2027, 2032 politics is now trying to play back. And of course, as politicians, they must always forge ahead. They must always look ahead. And I believe that it will be very necessary for him that he has Mount Kenya rallying behind him. And you know, let me tell you, my brother, His Excellency the President Ruto was able to win because of a strong support from Mount Kenya. And in this case, Mount Kenya still remains a very vital area in this republic that Gachagua would wish to invest in come 2032. Because I believe he might also have a step to the presidency when that time comes. Even though they have not spoken loudly, you can see the body language that they are heading towards that direction.
Yes, but Nyamongo, one would argue, is the deputy president trying to enhance his relevance in the political scene?
Yes, and on that point, it is in order. Because the deputy president has political rights. He has political freedoms. Yeah. So he has ambitions also, personally. Yeah, from where he sits. He wants to be somewhere. So it is in order. But the things which we needed to speak about, has Uhuru Kenyatta accepted hitherto the win of Rigathi Gachagua? From where I sit, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta has not believed that Rigathi Gachagua is the deputy president of Kenya. I mean, the news were marked by strong resentment and cynicism by himself. It was difficult for Uhuru Kenyatta to accept or bear that the Kenya Kwanza is in power. That is the main problem. Unless Uhuru Kenyatta now does what we call personal recollection and accept this team, that is the only way now they can merge together with Rigathi Gachagua for the well-being of their people, now quote unquote the Mount Kenya or the central guys. But before that, it will be very difficult for these two to come together and sit down and bring a decision which will benefit their people. Because Uhuru Kenyatta has never accepted.
So does it indicate that there's a supremacy battle between the deputy president and the former president in as far as Mount Kenya is concerned?
Absolutely. And a fierce one. Yeah. In fact, a fierce one.
I think when you look at it, my brother, whether Uhuru Kenyatta accepts that he was defeated, even though he was not contesting, but this candidate was defeated, I think it is for his own good that he listens to Gachagua. Because Gachagua is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Yes.
And Mount Kenya now relies on him. They look at him to deliver to the people of Mount Kenya. And the only way he can fail is when he fails to deliver. Because there are several promises that he made about the coffee, the milk, the general economic. Because, of course, Mount Kenya being the business hub in this republic, being the business-oriented people, being the most enterprising people in this republic, would want to see Gachagua bringing everything. Creating a conducive environment for that kind of business to prosper.
We'll come back to that point. Let us go live in St. George's Primary School, where the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is giving a presser concerning KCPE and KPSEA examinations.
But make sure you also monitor your time so that we finish on record. Okay? Asanteni sana, God bless you, and good luck in your examinations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course,
It must be raining there.
that was Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, speaking about KPSEA and KCPE examinations. Bwana Rotich, continue with your point.
What I was trying to explain to you, my brother, is that when Gachagua, extend a hand to his brother, Uhuru Kenyatta, you know, it is Uhuru himself who can either accept or reject. But you see, by accepting to offer that olive branch, if Uhuru Kenyatta will not accept, he will have weakened himself. So I'm not saying that he has to accept. He may not accept. But the fact is that for his own survival, for now and the future, he must abide, he must accept the extent of the olive branch by His Excellency, the Deputy President. Because you know, this one is politics, my friend. Come 2020, come 2032, definitely that is where His Excellency, the Deputy President, is eyeing. And you see, already he's having a niche. I mean, he's already gathering momentum in other areas away from Mount Kenya. Gachagua, when he's in Rift Valley, is at home. When he's in Coast, he's at home. When he's in most of these places, he's at home. So when you look at him, you see somebody in a mission. I mean, he's not operating in a vacuum. He has a purpose. He has a goal which he must achieve. And one thing that has also, he has actually expressed it very candidly, is that we are the major shareholders in this government. That is what he's saying. And the major shareholders must also stand to benefit. And when you may outrightly reject what His Excellency the Deputy President is saying when he explains like that. Because we always think, it's so natural to think about, how about the half of the population of this country who never voted for this government? But you see, what he is doing, he's sending the message. The message is at home, that yes, we have formed the government, and us who formed this government, who struggle to bring everything in place, must stand to benefit first before the rest. And even if that one is not practical, he has achieved something because he is speaking the hearts of the majority of Kenyans. And that is politics.
Yes.
But His Excellency, the President, actually took an oath that he will serve this country equally, and every Kenyan must stand to benefit. That is what he has expressed always. Yes. But as the President of the Republic of Kenya, he'll always be open and being guided by the Constitution, yes, that he has to stand for every single Kenyan in this republic.
Bwana Nyamongo, from where you stand, is this unity Gachagua is talking about achievable?
Yeah, maybe not.
Why?
Yeah, so it depends on how he executes it. Yeah. So if he executes it correctly, then it will be achievable. But if he dwindles, yes, then it will be even more harm.
So which is the correct way to go about this? Because at the end of the day, he needs the people and he needs the former president as it stands. Which is the correct way to go about this?
Yeah, it is highly recommended that even Gachagua himself again, yes, reduces his self-esteem and that temperature. Because when he got power, he had some issues to do with some people who messed him in the previous regime.
Yes.
So up to now, if he has not relinquished them from their heart, it would be difficult for him to come down, yes, and negotiate with the people. Because indeed, as you have said, every politician, not only Rigathi Gachagua,
yes,
they need people, because people are votes.
Yes.
People is what we call politics. Yeah. Whatever Rigathi Gachagua is advocating for is advocating for the people. So he needs the people, and especially the leaders from Mount Kenya. He needs Uhuru Kenyatta, he needs Maina Njenga, he needs Martha Karua, all of those. He must put them together humbly. Yeah, talking with them, not at them. Yeah. So he is a leader as at now, but he must accept that there are other leaders in various capacities. Uhuru Kenyatta is a leader. Yeah, Uhuru Kenyatta is not dead. So he must come down and also seek advice from Uhuru Kenyatta on a brotherly platform. Yeah, it is very in order. Yeah.
All right, more stories on the Star newspaper. Curtains fall on KCPE after 38 years as last class seats exams starting today. There's also a story on intense lobbying ahead of Mangaza impeachment date with senators. That story is continued on page 2 of the Star newspaper. There's also another story concerning it's all systems go as 2.6 million candidates sit KCPE and KPSEA exams. That is your Star newspaper. Let's look at the People Daily. The first page of the People Daily is speaking about the tragedy that befell 5 students who died before sitting their exam. 5 died one day to sitting their KCPE exams, and pupils from Arap Moi Primary School had gone for a school trip when they drowned in a dam. And Education CS called for calm as probe is launched. Women legislators renew push for 2/3 rule. Implementation of gender representation rule remains elusive. More than 3 attempts by Parliament. Bwana Nyamongo, why is this 2/3 gender rule still so elusive as at now?
It is a requirement under Article 27, equality and freedom from discrimination.
But what is hindering the country from achieving?
Goodwill from decision makers and opinion leaders. They have not come to terms. Yeah. In fact, it is a requirement that in all elective and appointive bodies, there have to be 2/3. Yeah.
Yes. I think, my brother, when you talk about the 2/3 gender rule, especially in elective position, that is where our constitution never elaborated how could it be achieved. Because you cannot stand and say this constituency A or constituency B must elect either a man or a woman to balance it in the end. It is something that is not achievable. But when it comes to the employing bodies, I think that can be achieved because it is something that can be objectively actually planned, that in this body we are going to, like now Safaricom may say, we are going to employ this number of females and this number of males. But when it comes to elective position, how can that be done? How can you seclude and say a particular constituency should come up with this and that? So that one, to me, and that is why it has remained to be elusive. It is because it is not practicably possible. We cannot say in my constituency, I come from Sikawet Soin constituency, and then there is no day when we have ever thought whether we need to elect a female to balance some mathematics in parliament. No, that has never happened, even in any constituency in this republic. So as long as the constitution is still not very clear about that, I think we shall still have the same problem of having the whole thing being elusive. And there is something I want to say, a sad story. I must say, whatever tragedy that happened to the 5 students who were preparing to sit for these KPSEA exams, we really say sorry for the families affected. And may God actually rest their souls in eternal peace. And then again, the students who are now sitting, I know from the same school, may be affected because they are not seeing their colleagues. So we want to pray to that region, that school, for the tragedy that actually happened and then we say, may God console the families that who are affected by the same.
Thank you, gentlemen, for gracing our show. We've been talking to Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is a political analyst, and Naftali Nyamongo, who is a certified professional mediator. This is where we put a wrap on Eye on Politics. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly.